Fast forward to where he has the stroke, because we never got to have that cup of coffee. But I got to go down there and make sure that he could get the best medical care possible. I got to go in and check on him. And he couldn't speak because he had the tracheotomy. He couldn't really move because of the condition his body was in after suffering a stroke. But what he still could do was crack a smile here and there. And I remember being a kid that when the times that my dad was around and he would show affection, I couldn't bear to stand his touch. But in the end, all I could do was touch his face. I touch his face, kiss him on the head, and somehow I felt like it was communicating backwards and reverse. That my touching his face was him touching my face as a child. That it was making up for all the lost time. That it was mending the breach that separated us. And in doing so, all he could do was crack a smile. When my sister showed up, all he could do was crack a smile. And as you guys can see, that the recurring theme throughout today has always been his smile. There's a saying that says that death smiles at us all. But I'd like to alter it and say that death may smile at us all, but a man who knows his maker can only do is smile back. We are in the building. Hey, I'm Donald Johnson, a.k.a. Donna Baptist. You know the joke. And I'm 1/3 of your favorite podcast. Taking over the world, going global. From Suisun City, California. Watch Me Develop podcast. 945-85. You see it right here.
You see it.
Representing my itty bitty little city. You know what I'm saying? We here rolling through like the committee. I got to my right, your left, my boy, none other than John Robert Butcher Jr.
What's happening, baby? Yeah.
And then to my left, your right, I got Steven Joshua Bonds.
What's up with the fan? We're putting sound effects in this episode.
Yeah, man, we need to.
I rock with it.
We ain't there yet. We ain't got the sound effects on deck,
Push
but we
the algorithm.
will soon. Hey, pull up on us and drop some dough in our lap so that way we can go ahead and take this to the next level. We ain't turning nothing down but our collars. You know what I'm saying?
You feel me?
That's what it is. Hey, but no, thank you guys for tuning in. Those of you guys that are on YouTube watching us, look, just to put it out there so we can remind y'all, this happens every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
6 p.m.
Josh? Pacific Standard Time.
6.
Josh, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right? We drop an episode every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 9 p.m. for all my East Coast people.
Easty
all right?
Coasties, yeah.
All my Easty Coasties out there, 9 p.m. Wednesdays. Why are we dropping on Wednesdays, man? Because Wednesday is the middle of the week. It's what they call hump day, man. We trying to help you get the hump out your back, help you get over the hump, however way we can help you to be encouraged. That's what we doing, man.
And here's the beautiful things about our podcast. Like, we're not just on YouTube. We on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We on Google Podcasts. And what's the other one called? I forgot. It's not Deezer. Anchor.
Something
Anchor.
like that. I don't know, man.
That's it.
Hey, man, we in the interwebs. We out there. We like air. We everywhere. All right. So, yeah, that's what we here doing, man. Let's check in real quick, man. How are y'all doing? How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing cool. Not as good as y'all. No, I'm just y'all energy is there today. I rock with y'all energy today. I'm doing pretty smooth. Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm great. I'm good.
That's good. Good. Okay. All right, Josh. Don't. Come on, man. Don't be a wet blanket here. Come on, man. JR, how you doing, man?
Man, I don't know what it is. My body's changing. I'm approaching 30, and I developed allergies over the past year. Like, I don't know what it is. My sinuses have been jacked. I get sinus headaches. I got to take allergy medication now. I've developed seasonal asthma. It's terrible.
Sheesh.
You know what's funny is I feel like that's kind of the tale of California. A lot of people come from out of the area, and they say it's not until they come here. And I don't even know if it's just like our area specifically, or if it's just anywhere in California. But they were saying no. I think it's California period, because what's funny is I heard E.T. like on a few episodes ago on Secrets to Success podcast. He was talking about how since he moved from Detroit, because he lives out here in California, Southern California, for part of the year, that he was saying that something about like the water is different than the water is out there in Detroit. But then again, Flint, Michigan is in Detroit, so I don't know what he's talking about, the aspect of the water. But anyhow, but no, a lot of people say when they come out here to California, like they develop allergies. There's like something out here. But, you know, for me, as far as I'm concerned, man, California is home. I like going and visiting a lot of other places, but California is home, man. Even if the cost of living is crazy, I just got crazy faith, because I'm going to believe God is going to provide for me to keep living here in California, man.
Y'all can keep the tornadoes, the humidity.
All of that.
We get snow in certain places, not where we're at, but we see an earthquake literally every blue moon.
Let it shake. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'd rather deal with that.
Let's see how this ages, right?
Right?
Yeah, true that.
Wars and rumors of wars.
Right, for real. Nah, on the real, man. So for my check-in, you know, I'm really on this thing, man, of being grateful. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, over the last couple of days, those of you guys that follow us, I've been doing some lives and stuff, because I really feel like, you know, that's something that the Lord put on my heart, man, is any way and any opportunity that I can seize to be encouraging, if I can help somebody, if I can, you know, drop some nuggets or whatever it is that he's put on my heart, man, to go ahead and seize the moment and do that, man. Just allow God to use me. And so for me, I'm really, you know, as of today, I'm really on this hype of being grateful. Those of you guys that tuned in to my live on IG earlier, I shared with you some of the things that have been going on around me and in my life. I'm like coming up almost on, actually it'll be a month ago today, my father passed. And so, you know, dealing with the ebbs and flows that come along with that. This week we're finally going to be able to lay him to rest. And so, you know, just dealing with everything that goes along with that, all the family stuff, everything and all that. But I'm just looking at my life and thanking God for the fact that I'm still here, man. Not counting my losses as losses per se, man, but looking at my losses as lessons. You know, that's one of the things that, matter of fact, a song I was working on recently is like, I'm not taking any L's, man. I'm not taking L's anymore. I'm tired of, because to me, I think losing is a mentality. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily an experience or an event that happens to you. Losing is more so a state of mind. Just like poverty or being impoverished, those are states of mind. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have any money in your wallet or in your pocket or in the bank to be poor. You know what I'm saying? There's people that got all the money in the world and got fat bank accounts and they still poor. You know what I mean? But for me, it's about, you know, perspective, fixing my focus, you know, because that's what ended up causing mankind to lose out in the first place in the garden. You know what I mean? Like the trick of the enemy, the trick of the devil, the lie was to make them think that they were missing out on something. You know what I'm saying? They call it the FOMO, right? People have fear of missing out.
Right.
And so for me, I'm just like, Lord, I'm going to trust that what you have for me is not going to pass me. Mm-hmm. And, that's where I'm at, man, just being grateful because I have a couple of childhood friends who, over the last couple of weeks, they've lost their children, which is devastating, man. It's broke my heart, even though I'm not even necessarily close in relationship. It's just the fact that I know these cats. I remember being kids with them growing up. We from here in the community, you know what I mean? I love my community, and so it's always fun to run into, people that I know from back in the day, but just hearing through the grapevine and social media and stuff and through our different connections, found out that, two of my old classmates, they've lost their sons over the last couple of weeks. And just tragic, you know what I mean? And so for me, I'm trying to learn and soak in everything from everywhere that I can. Because last night, Ivy, my oldest, he was out doing some stuff, hanging out, working on some projects that he got going on and everything. And sometimes, it's hard for me to remember that when you're young, sometimes you don't realize how inconsiderate you are. You know what I'm saying? And that's all a part of learning how to be responsible and being considerate of others and those that you're connected with. But I had to go out and pick him up, late night. I'm tired. Like I said, I wake up dark 30. So it had been a long day, and I go out to go get him, closer to midnight. And as I was sitting in the car waiting on him, I, found myself getting frustrated. But then I felt like Holy Spirit was like, be grateful at the fact that you're here to pick up your sons, especially in light of what happened with my two classmates. And just thinking about, man, here it is, you're coming to pick up your son, but they will never have that opportunity again. Yeah. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, I see what you're saying. I'm gonna be grateful. Thank you for showing me that.
Yeah. So would you say, I really appreciate, your consistency over these past couple of days and sharing this content, sharing your heart. But one of the things that I've been thinking about and just, kind of interceding on your behalf in my own prayer time is like, we're all in this pursuit, to want to better our community, better our family, put ourselves in a better financial position. Mm-hmm. But things like losing family members happens. Like, even though we're in a pursuit, it's inevitable. The one thing that we all have in common is that one day we're all going to die.
Yeah, it's a fact. But
what I wanted to ask you guys, and we kind of come from different experiences. Josh, you shared a couple episodes. I think it was the first episode, about your dad. Mm-hmm. And, those feelings never go away necessarily. Right. But how do you guys, or, Donald, you're right in the midst of it. How do you handle kind of like the margin to be able to allow yourself to feel grief? Because I think when we're people like us, where we're so busy, we can get so caught up in like doing that we don't get a chance to feel and heal. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And so if anybody wants to lend to that.
Yeah, man. I'll definitely say that through our experiences, myself and my fam, we weren't as I feel like there's a lot more emphasis put on mental health these days and like therapy, right? And when I experienced some of like the deepest scars that I've experienced, like we weren't really like knowledgeable of that. We weren't really going. We were going to therapy, but it wasn't consistent, and it stopped very soon. So I'm not going to say that I'm an expert in it or anything like that. I mean, shoot, it's been 20 years since my pops passed, 21 years actually this August since my pops passed. And I still, probably you could ask Nadia, maybe like once a month or every other month, there's something that happens, there's some trigger that happens where I'm like just brought to tears. It could be, man, just seeing my kids grow up, you know what I mean? And I'm looking, I'm like, dang, man, your grandfather would really appreciate that. You know what I mean? I hit these milestones, these moments when I got married for the first time, when the patent came for the first time, like it's those moments that you would have wanted to share with the person you had that connection with. So I still feel it, man. Though I would say the weight gets easier over time, and time has to do its thing, but man, bro, it never goes away, Never goes away.
Yeah, I agree. For me, like I tend to be, I've been described as being stoic. You know what I'm saying? I've been described as not having tear ducts. But it's absolutely not true, man. Like to be honest with you, there's so many layers to this situation and what I'm going through. What's funny about it is like, I was preparing to leave work for the week yesterday because I'm gonna be off all this week because of what's going on as far as the funeral and arrangements and everything.
Yeah.
And I was typing, I was typing because like some of my coworkers and stuff have, they blessed the family like with condolences and cards and stuff like that, and so I'm typing my email to the department and. I basically told them, hey, as many of you guys know, my father passed, blah, blah, blah. But as I was typing, just letting them know, thank you for the cards, gift cards, those that prayed, those that, had us in their thoughts, you know what I'm saying? all the stuff that people like that don't, people that don't know what to say, just say, you know what I mean? And so
Measuring my thoughts.
yeah, what does that mean?
Thank you. Like,
Sending positive energy your way. I'm like, okay, use the force,
right?
But like, bless people's heart, man. Because there's not everybody has had the luxury of being able to be raised in a community of believers like many of us have, and so. But yeah, as I was preparing to send that off to them, you know what I'm saying? I was even, thanking those that stopped by my cubicle and just joked with me, you know what I'm saying? Because, at work, I haven't like really expressed any emotion about what's going on. I'm pretty private. I don't really be telling people my business anyway. And so I've been going through the ebbs and flows. Like I've been, working on trying to put together a eulogy, trying to figure out what I want to say exactly, about my dad. Been working on the slideshow, and like the slideshow was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, definitely stirred a bunch of emotions, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting, man, because like I've seen those memes that people post where they're like, one day pictures will be all that you have. You know what I mean? And I'm experiencing that right now. I'm in the midst of that. And so as far as like being busy, being able to feel feelings and everything, I think is very important. That's one of the reasons why I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to take advantage of the time. I'm fortunate and blessed to have a job where they allow me time. It's never going to be enough time, but they allow me some time, you know what I'm saying, to try and take care of things and go through, whatever little process, just a nice little break. But yeah, I've definitely been going through the ebbs and flows, man. Like you just, you might not see it, but I'm definitely going through all of the different phases of grief. Like, they say there's like, I don't know, five or six different phases. You have like the bargaining. There's the anger.
Denial.
There's the denial. All of that stuff. And so it's just interesting. It's like anything could trigger, an emotion. Like you said, sometimes I sit and think about, how I wish I had more time, you know what I'm saying? Or I'll look at, like you said, I look at my kids and I'm like, wondering how they feel about the situation because they didn't really get to know my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So those are things that come about, and it's all a part of the process. I honestly believe, it's funny because growing up in church, unfortunately, it always seems like you're exposed to one extreme or the other. So you have like the extreme of where it's all about faith and everything is hyperly spiritualized, right? Like, we don't walk by the way I feel. I don't walk by sight. I walk by faith. And so is it like, so you're not supposed to have the human experience? You're not supposed to, you're supposed to be in denial of what's really happening in front of you?
Yeah.
And then you have those that are like, all about like the feelings and everything, and it's like, nah, man, there needs to be a balance. And so I'm definitely a believer that God has created and fashioned every part of us. You know what I'm saying? He's fashioned every part. He's the God of my spirit and my faith just as much as he's the God of my feelings. He created my feelings. But at the end of the day, the best way that I've heard it explained is that you have feelings and you're allowed to feel those feelings, but don't allow them to be the engine that drives you. Their place is in the caboose. So
it's interesting, like just kind of talking about grief. I remember 3 years ago, this is before we had did the renovations, and it was in the old sanctuary. I think the old sanctuary. I just remember it being in the sanctuary, but I'm on the drums, and it just so happened that Aunt Jackie was there, and there's an older white gentleman that had came in, and like he was dressed like my grandpa, he walked like my grandpa, and like the whole get up. And so when he walked in, being at the drum set, I usually see everything going on, like everything. Yeah. And so when he walked in, there was light behind him because it's dark in the sanctuary and there's light coming from the thing. And in my mind, bro, I swore it was my grandpa. Like I swore it was him. And I like started boohoo crying because I'm like tearing up now. I'm like, bro, I can't even like, I thought I was cool. I thought I had like kind of got all the tears out, but then I'm like, dang, I miss him. Yeah. And then it was kind of confirmed because I saw my Aunt Jackie look, and then she started bawling too. She's like, I thought that was Dad. Sheesh. And so it was just like one of those things where it's just like, kind of experiencing some of like the milestones in my life, being able to see my kids grow, us getting married. I know one of the things that my grandmother always talks about. She's like, I just really appreciate you honoring your grandfather at your wedding by putting a picture in a place for him to sit. And I was like, thank you, Grandma. I just, wanted to honor him because I wish he was here. Yeah. But one of the things that I had read that really kind of had me thinking at the end of last year, we had talked about C.S. Lewis a couple episodes ago, but I've been reading a series of C.S. Lewis books. And one of the books that he wrote was like one of his shorter ones because I'm starting from the smallest ones and going to the big ones. But it's even the small ones are like jam-packed of just information, bro. It's like it's still a slow read. You got to really like chew on what he's giving you.
It's super concentrated.
Yeah, bro. But there's a book he wrote, or it's more so like a journal he wrote called Grief Observed. And he talks about when he lost his wife to cancer. Yeah. And he just talked about his struggle with God, his struggle with the relationship with God, and the loss of his wife. But one of the points that stood out to me when he said, when we grieve, we don't just grieve on what we lost, we grieve on the potential of what could have been.
Yes, absolutely.
And so it's just like, not only do I grieve this person being lost, but I grieve the fact that, man, what could he have been if he had more time? Like, I feel for Donald because of the relationship that he was starting to build with his father later on in life. Like, he was starting to be able to redeem some of them years. Like, I understand what it means to redeem years with your father. Like, I get that. Yeah. And so, like, now that, your kids are growing and things are happening and, like, we're in this position where we own businesses or doing whatever and we're being successful, quote unquote. Right. It's like, man, I wish he was here. Right. And so it's just like, I think us being able to have that conversation of, like, kind of really understanding that is what kind of, not necessarily helps us keep our composure because, men do cry. Yeah. I was just about to cry. Yeah. But it's just important for us to recognize those things like, okay, yeah, you're doing some honorable things. You're winning, you're succeeding. Like, just keep doing that. Yeah. Like, don't allow, like you were saying before, your emotions have a place, but just like not in the leading car, like not in the place where it leads you, but in the place where, it's there.
Nah, for sure, bro. That's it's crazy because all this, ties back. I think one of my greatest, what would you say, like weapons against grief, and it's like what Donald's been like speaking on all this week is being gratitude. Yeah. That's the biggest thing. Like my one of my favorite scriptures, bro. All things work together for the good to those who love God and are called according to his purpose. It's like no matter how like deep it, how much it hurt, no matter how great the loss, like there has to have been a lesson that you can have pulled from that person's life. Like you have to. And every time I lose someone close to me, it's like if I don't pull a lesson from that person's life, like it's in vain. Like it needs to be something that causes me to live more intentionally. You know what I mean? And cherish my relationships even that much more because like Pastor Kyle always says, people, their privilege. You know,
Not
what I
a
mean?
promise.
Not a
Yeah.
promise. You know, and it's real, and it's something that we have to come back and we have to consider regularly and stay sober minded about it, because we can get wrapped up in, you know, things here right now and what we're building right here right now. But the truth of the matter is, like, tomorrow's not promised for us or for the people that we come in contact with on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, to piggyback on what you were saying, you know, what both of you guys were saying, like, yeah, the potential of, or, you know, just the lessons that are learned. Like, because even the scripture you quoted, I like another translation, like, that says that God is in everything, working it together for the good of those that love them. You know what I'm saying? That love him. Because a lot of times we'll say, oh, well, you know, all things work together, and it just kind of like blanketly just throws, you know,
Becomes a cliche.
Yeah, it becomes super cliche. But like when you really understand that it's a lie that they say the devil's in the details. No, God is in the details of everything.
Right.
God is in the details of everything. Like there is nothing, like God is so great and so huge that he literally knows every detail of our lives and what it is that we go through, right? And it means something to him.
Yeah.
Right? And so it shouldn't be a surprise to us that he's in the midst of everything.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That he's in the midst of it all, working it together for our benefit.
Yeah.
Because we love him and we're called according to his purpose. He's the one that gave us the purpose.
Yeah.
And so, you know, to speak on the whole thing about like the grieving the potential, because I think that's pretty much what it's been like. I don't grieve so much that he's gone. I grieve the potential. More so, like, you know, and this is like for a whole nother time. You know what I'm saying? Because like there's 1,000 lives that my dad lived in what our relationship has been through. But just to see him go through all of the things that he's been through, and finally get his life together. You know what I'm saying? Get his life on track. That's the only thing that softened the blow of how things have ended so far as his life is concerned. But the grief of the potential, like to be honest with you, prior to like right at the beginning of things kind of taking a downward spiral as far as his health was concerned, you know, we were making plans on you know, I was planning on taking my kids down there to go visit him and us hanging out and having a good time and stuff like that. And, you know, now that'll never happen. At least not on this side of eternity. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's interesting that it's not just the loss that we grieve, but it's also the grief of what could have been, what could be. So one of the lessons that I've learned as of recent, man, just because I've also recently met with his side of the family, who I'm pretty much estranged from. Met with his side of the family recently, and you know, just to kind of clear the air and kind of you know, set some boundaries and stuff like that. I'm just noticing, man, like the legit reality of like generational junk and curses and so on and so forth, man. And I'm like more determined now than ever to like just, you know, you've heard me say it before, man. Poverty ran in my family until it ran into me. You know what I mean? I'm an advocate of, you know, whatever junk I can eliminate and eradicate and get dealt with, nip it in the bud. I'm gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm more determined now because I don't want my I want my kids to. I know I'm not expecting everything to be a cakewalk for them, but I'm trying to make their transition into leadership of starting their own houses and their own homes. You know what I'm saying? Like when we read about how there was the house of David, there's the house of, like, they're gonna grow up, and we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. You know what I'm saying? We're raising up adults. They're just not at an adult stage yet, but we're raising up and training up adults. And they're gonna go off and start their own houses. And a lot of that's gonna be determined on what it is that we place in them, right? Not what we give to them or what we place, but what we place in them. And so I'm determined, man, to like make sure that I'm depositing, you know, making great investments into my children.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at, man. I'm really trying to, because one of the biggest things for me, God bless my dad, but a lot of the stuff that I've been having to do is a lot of busy work and cleaning up a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I'm like, Lord, I don't want my kids to have to clean up after me. Mm-hmm. When I'm gone, I don't want my kids to have to clean up after me. I want my house in order. Yeah. And that's where I'm at, man. I'm determined this year my house is gonna be in order. Straight up. By any means necessary, my house is gonna be in order.
Yeah, man, that's what's up.
You brought up a couple good things. If you guys were like to clearly put out, like for the viewers, and Donald, you kind of already just did it, but like, what are some losses? And they don't necessarily have to be people you've lost, but what are some losses, or should I say lessons, that you've learned that have shaped who you are today? In the sense of like, hey, after this happened, it changed the way that I approach this. It's like, Donald, you kind of presented, from my experience, laying my father to rest, I realized, hey, I want to make sure that these are in order when I go. Like, because this was a hard conversations. Like, on my mom's side, we've been talking about, building a family trust and like putting that stuff in order.
Absolutely.
Like, one of the biggest things my grandma always says, like the first house that they bought when they moved to California, which is wild to me because they spent $46,000 on a house, bro, and they sold it for 10 times the amount.
Yeah.
But she's like, I wish we would have kept that house. And then like now, kind of on the topic, my mom is just like, hey, we don't want to do that again, to where we end up selling the house again after everybody's gone or grown or whatever. And so I say all that to say, like, is there some turning points in your guys' life that have made you guys go, this is what I'm going to do because this happened?
Dang, bro, that's deep. I'm gonna sit on that for a minute. Do you know what yours is? I wanna.